Trevor Engleson tell all. Harry's wife petrified. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. According to the Mirror, Harry's wife petrified, ex-husband, will write tell-all book about their failed marriage. An article by Molly Quirk tells us, Harry's wife might be loved up and totally smitten with Prince Harry these days. Well, she isn't. Since she's a narcissist, she is incapable of love because she has no emotional empathy, and also Harry is in the sustained devaluation. The only time that she might give some manifestation of love is where he gets a respite period or where she needs to manage the facade, something we saw recently with the staged videos at the Beyoncé concert that made it look like that they were a happy and loved up couple. Nevertheless, the Mirror tells us there's a shadow lingering over her as she anticipates what her ex-husband would write about her should he release a tell-all book about their failed marriage. The Monty Shit Show-based former actress is said to be petrified that her ex-husband, Trevor Engleson, will write a tell-all book about their relationship, failed marriage, and no-fault divorce, which comes as she tries to rebuild her personal brand after a series of recent blows to her image. But as the Duchess of Sussex looks to possibly make a comeback to Instagram and potentially relaunch her blog, a royal expert has claimed that her ex-husband, Trevor Engleson, has had offers to write a book about being married to the former Suits actress, and this mystery book could cause chaos in Harry's wife's life should it hit bookshelves in the future. Married to Trevor, a film production company owner from 2011 to 2013, Harry's wife's first marriage sadly didn't stand the test of time, with them divorcing and citing irreconcilable differences after 2 years. This, of course, would fit with a timescale for a narcissist and her victim. She draws Trevor in. And then, after the golden period and the seduction, he gets a sustained devaluation, and ultimately there is a disengagement trigger and he's cast to one side. Meeting in 2004, the couple dated for 7 years before getting hitched on a beach in Jamaica in 2011. But after landing a job on hit series Suits and taking on the role of Rachel Zane, it is said that the cracks in the couple's relationship began to emerge. Following their split, the Duchess was even thought to have posted her wedding and engagement rings back to her ex in the mail. Active devaluation, triangulation with object. And now, it seems that the Duchess's ex-husband could be keen to write a book all about his time with the actress turned royal wife. A royal expert and author, Neil Sean, has claimed that Trevor has been inundated with offers to write a book about his ex. OK magazine has reported that Neil exclusively revealed many agents have offered him big deals and big money when Harry's wife was at the height of her fame. I would think that he will take stock and look at all options. He then said that Harry's wife is bound to be petrified because Trevor would truly have a remarkable story where he has had first-hand experience of what it was like to be married the first time around to the actress. Neil explained how Trevor, who is now married to Tracy Kurland, is a nice, caring man who has moved on, with there said to be no escape from his story. His account would take a look at how ruthless, ambitious, and determined Harry's wife was from the inside, according to the author. The magazine also reports that the expert said that should Trevor decide to write about his mysterious account of marrying Harry's wife and why he was dumped, it could be explosive. There is no doubt that if Trevor Engleson wrote a tell-all book about his marriage with Harry's wife, it would be a bestseller. The reason being is that she would not be able to manage it in any way. We know that she essentially told improbably named plastic-faced Lieutenant Omid Scobie what to write for Finding Dollars and Funding Freedom. We know that her talons were all over Spare. But if, and it is a big if, Trevor Engleson was to write a book about Harry's wife, she wouldn't be able to control it in terms of its content. There's the possibility that she might seek by legal means to influence what its content is, but she would certainly struggle in that regard. Is it the case that she's petrified? And is it the case that Engleson will write such a book? Well, let's deal with the first point. At this moment in time, Harry's wife isn't thinking about Trevor Engleson. In common with all narcissists, when you're not on the radar, you might as well be dead. It's a common misconception put about by people that don't understand narcissism, that believe that the narcissist sits there, mulling over you, dwelling on what you've done, obsessing over you. Actually, that's not the case. The reason being, it doesn't achieve anything for the narcissist. Remember, when it comes to another person, the narcissist needs to control. Thus, if you pop up on the narcissist's radar, the narcissism will cause the narcissist to seek that control. So you'll either be hoovered, or, if that doesn't happen, you'll be smeared, an indirect assertion of control, or the narcissist will just think to themselves, thank God I'm no longer with that person, or I'm too busy to deal with that right now, and jettison the thought about you. And then they're on to the next thing. So the narcissist acts as soon as you pop up on the radar. Accordingly, you need to pop up on the radar to begin with, and I suspect that Trevor Engleson doesn't really pop up on Harry's wife's radar all that often. When he does, she's not moved to hoover him, because her narcissism dictates that it's not appropriate, and therefore most likely she will either pass comment about him to a third party, and thus triangulate and get an indirect assertion of control, or she'll just jettison the thought about him. She won't sit there thinking, oh my God, Trevor's going to write a book, oh my God, I'm petrified. Rather, she won't be thinking that he's going to write a book. She'll think about other matters in relation to him. If someone said to her, Trevor Engleson might write a book about you and him, what about that? In such circumstances, the mention of Trevor brings him up onto the radar. That suggestion is a threat to control. Her narcissism must move to nullify it. And in such circumstances, she may well say, I'm really worried about what he might write. He was obviously very hurt by the fact that I ended the marriage, and I think he has an axe to grind. I think he might write some untruths about me. Thus she will smear Trevor and dole out a pity play to whoever is listening, claiming possibly to be petrified, but she isn't actually. It's just done in that moment to assert control over whoever she is talking to and to engender sympathy more widely. Then, having got the control, she'll move on to the next thing. Believe me, Harry's wife doesn't lie awake at night worrying about what Trevor Engleson might have to say about her, because her narcissism deals with it for her. First of all, he will rarely come up on her radar, and when he does, her mind isn't immediately going to go, I treated him like shit, and therefore I'm really worried that he might write a book exposing me. It doesn't work like that. Instead, she might not even think about him writing a book, and she certainly isn't going to be thinking about all of the awful things that she did to him, because her narcissism will rewrite history, meaning that she won't venture to that, and even if she does happen to recall something where she perhaps did something unpleasant to him, the narcissism will tell her that it was appropriate for her to do that and he deserved it, and therefore in the circumstances she's not going to worry about it. The only instance where it would cause a concern is where somebody were to mention to her, oh, he might write a book, and therefore that amounts to a threat to control. But she isn't going to spend her days and nights worrying that that's what's going to happen. Is he going to write a book? The likelihood he will not, although undoubtedly he would have some excellent information to share about her, which would only go to reinforce the narcissistic dynamic and her awful behaviours. The fact is, Trevor Engleson recognises that, 1, it's better for him not to do so, it enables him to move on. 2, monetarily, he doesn't need to, because he's married to somebody that's very wealthy and he's doing all right in his own regard. Therefore, he doesn't need to draw in the money by signing up a megabooks deal to write a book. Undoubtedly, he would make a shitload of money from it, because there'll be plenty of people interested in it. But it seems to me that it's highly unlikely that Trevor Engleson will go down this route, because he thinks to himself, I've moved on from all of that shit. And also, he may well see himself as behaving like a gentleman. Irrespective of how badly he's been treated, He wants to put all of that to bed and leave it there. He doesn't want to resurrect it. He's got a really good life now. Why spoil it by revisiting an awful episode in his own life? Accordingly, it's unlikely that a book will ever see the light of day. If it does, that is the moment that will cause a problem for Harry's wife because of the risk of exposure. But she doesn't spend her day-to-day existence worrying about the appearance of such a book. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.